All right. Well, while folks are joining on, I will go ahead and do some of the intro stuff and whatnot. So, thank you all on behalf of the Professional Development Committee for being on here today for the second webinar of the 2023 Professional Development Week. As a reminder, this session will be recorded. So, if you do not consent to that, please excuse yourself accordingly. We will record this and upload this into the Professional Development Library probably sometime in early October, so not immediately. Need a little bit of turnaround time for that, but we will upload that and let folks know when that is up there. For those of you who are not on the webinar yesterday, I'm Price Collins. I'm a senior nuclear fuels engineer for Duke Energy. I'm the new-ish, as of last month, chair of the Professional Development Committee. We're excited to bring an exceptional program and webinar to you today. Our featured speaker will be sharing her valuable insights on the impacts of Microsoft Power Apps with potential applications for energy operations. It's like I said before, it's the second one in our PD week for powering the next generation through innovation and efficiency. If you are attending as a group today, please drop the name of your company and the number of folks attending in the group into the chat, or email us at uswinpd@gmail.com. Nicole, I will ask you once again to please put that in the chat so folks can refer back to that. So a few housekeeping items before we get everything set up. Nuclear, we are big on safety. We always are. Please be aware of any tripping hazards in your area and mitigate them accordingly. Know your escape exits in the event an evacuation is necessary. And if you're like me today, I'm working remote. I work remote 2 days a week. Make sure you take a regular stretch break. Always good to get out, get the blood flowing, and just move around a little bit. So with that, let me introduce our speaker today, Sunita Kalmana. Sunita is a systems analyst specialist and member of the Microsoft Center of Excellence team at Dominion Energy. She's got over 15 years of experience at the company and has developed in-house desktop, web, and mobile applications that drive technological advancements and improvements for the company. In her current role, Sunita plays a pivotal role in designing and architecting technical solutions that aim to enhance business processes using the Microsoft Power platform, including automatic notifications, barcode scanning, signature and image capturing, and mixed reality features. Sunita holds a Master's of Science degree in Computer Science and Engineering from the University of South Carolina. Joining in today's discussion is also our facilitator, Valerie Watkins. Valerie is the supervisor of nuclear project controls at Dominion Energy, where her primary responsibilities involves overseeing the management of the site capital budget at Surrey Power Station. Prior to joining Dominion Energy, Valerie has supported and led project control activities at the Palo Verde Generating Station, Tri-Tool Incorporated, and Bechtel Power Corporation. Valerie holds degrees from Purdue University in Aviation Administration and Aviation Technology, and is a graduate of the McKinsey & Company Leadership Management Accelerator Program. Valerie also holds certifications as a project management professional and certified Scrum Master. She's also an active member of the U.S. Wind Professional Development Committee, and the reason we are delivering this year's programming on innovation and efficiency. Not only was she actively engaged in Dominion Energy's Innovation Accelerator program, but she generously shared her valuable experience with us and recommended that we provide a similar opportunity for you. So please help me welcoming Sunita and Valerie before I turn the program over to you, Valerie.
Thank you, Price, and thank you all for joining us today. Before we dive into our presentation, there are a few administrative details we'd like to highlight. Throughout Sunita's presentation, all participants will be muted. If you have any comments or thoughts you'd like to share, please feel free to type them into the chat. We value your engagement and encourage questions. We will have a dedicated Q&A session following Sunita's presentation. To ask a question, you have two options. If you prefer to voice your question, please use the raise your hand feature, and we will unmute you when it's your turn to speak. Alternatively, you can type your questions into the Q&A feature. The platform is yours, Sunita. And now introducing Sunita Kamala.
All right, thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Price. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right. Again, my name is Sunita Kamna. I'm with the Microsoft Center of Excellence team at Dominion Energy. I want to quickly talk about some of the features that we've come to, start using and appreciating in Power Platform. We've built many feature-rich applications over the last 3 years since our team has formed. And one of the first things that caught my attention personally is the fact that you can build app in one source code, one platform, and make it available in other areas. Like you can build one source code, one application, but it can be accessed from a desktop browser, from a mobile phone, with mobile features like camera coming up, but it's all based on one source code, which is a huge benefit from what traditional application development platforms have offered in the past. Another thing that we want to talk about is the number of connectors that Power Platform exposes. There are, as you can, imagine, there's a lot of data sources options, right? So you may want to have a requirement to connect to the SAP, for example, or you may want to connect to an Oracle or a SQL database, or you might want to connect to the SharePoint Online. So there's just a lot of out-of-the-box connectors that we can take advantage of, or you can build your own connections. Like, for example, you may have your custom API that you want to use in your application, and we can create custom connectors to accommodate that. So it makes Power Platform does have make it very easy to connect to any kind of data source that you can think of. And another great feature about using Power Platform is the single sign-on capability. So we have, just like you log into Outlook, just like you log into Teams, Microsoft Teams, logging into Power Apps is the same experience. It does come with the Microsoft E3 license. So we at Dominion Energy, we do have a two-factor authentication. We do go through some, other than username and password, we have to go through this additional push notification that we get that we need to allow. So using Power Platform, we can continue to use that and make that kind of security available for your Power Apps too. So again, it's out of the box, nothing that we have to do to make that available for any apps that we built. It's available by default. And barcode scanning and QR scanning is some of our most commonly used features in our application. So again, it is a low Power Platform. If you're not familiar with it, it is a low code platform where you can build applications easily. So to implement something like barcode scanning into your mobile application, it is as simple as drag and drop. So you can drag a button to your application and enable the barcode scanning feature. So you don't need to write complex code, install complex plugins, and maintain it going forward. Something that's very easy to drag and drop and take advantage of. Capturing your current location is also something that we've used in many of our applications. So you might be using your app on the field, and as you go around and you want to capture the location of where you might have an incident or something that you're tracking, you can click a button and it captures your latitude, longitude. We can also translate that to an address using Bing APIs, Bing references. And again, that's something that we've used in some of our field applications. I touched on this a little bit earlier, how you can have your mobile phone be able to take pictures. Again, it's out of the box. You don't have to even leave the app. You can click a button and it prompts you to say, hey, do you want to take a picture? Do you want to browse through your photo library to, attach a document? Or you can even click on, attach other files. Again, it's a single code base. So if you're using this app from a desktop browser, you get this file explorer so you can attach other kinds of documents. So offline capability is also something that's available. It's not a simple flag that you turn on or off. It is something that we as developers kind of built into the app, but Power Apps does make it easy to build offline capable applications. So we have built applications where there's maybe the network coverage is not available in most of those areas. In scenarios like that, we build apps where it can continue to work, collect the data on the field, and when you get back onto the network, it automatically syncs back to the database. So again, this is very easy to build using Power Apps. There's some coding involved, but it does make it, Power Platform does make it easy to implement this feature. So I know we focus more on Power Apps, but Power Automate is a very useful tool that we use almost in all of our applications. So sometimes you may want to export data to an Excel sheet, or sometimes you want to send automatic email reminders or notifications, or send some tasks through an approval process. So for many of those reasons, we use Power Automate. Again, Power Automate is also a very, very powerful tool, and you can integrate with Power Apps, so they work with each other, or it can be an independent. You can define independent flows to run periodically, maybe sending reminders, sending those approvals out. Again, a very powerful tool. Push notifications is something that we've also used in some of our applications. You can think of push notifications as, for example, if you have an app that your users use on the field, and you want to notify them saying, hey, a new task has been added to so-and-so user, or a new task has been added to this area, and you want the users to be immediately notified so they can plan their day accordingly, for example. Or if it's an emergency kind of a notification that they want to make sure everybody gets it. You know how you get your push notifications on your mobile phone currently. Again, I have some experience working in building mobile applications prior to working on Power Apps, and based on my experience, it has been a little bit of a lot of work involved to register your phone, register your device, send those push notifications through the traditional push notification mechanisms. But with Power Platform, I was very impressed at how easy it is to configure these notification queues and sending it out to the users. All right, so the forms created and managed by the business, this is something that we've designed for some of our business, where we can let the business define the forms that they want to build, right? So we've created it's a complex system that we built for them, but the idea is the users themselves can say, hey, I think we need to start collecting this form on the field, and they can go ahead and design their own form and push it to their users' phones without having to get IT involved, for example. So it is like an app that builds its own app, but we built it so that it is easy for the users to build their own forms, because some areas do have a lot of forms that they need to fill out for compliance reasons. So instead of depending on IT for each single form, or maybe to change the wording of a field, for example, they don't have to reach to us. It is all dynamic and something that they can handle. So that is something that we've built for some of our businesses. This is mixed reality or augmented reality is something that I'm personally very excited about. There's a lot of cool features that Power Apps, and it continues to grow, these list of features. But one example is the measuring tool. Again, as you can see in that picture, it's available within the app. So you don't have to leave the app to get some measurement. I know some iPhones do have the Measure app that you might use. I've used it. But we can incorporate it within the app, and we have actually used in one of our apps where people can people need to measure the wall where the cables are attached. So instead of trying to put the phone down, get a measuring tape out and calculating, you can just continue to use your app, take pictures, measure it, all from within the app, which I thought is pretty neat. And there's more mixed reality features that that are available. So capturing signatures, we've implemented this in some of our applications where, you take your iPad, for example, to a customer's house, and, if you're trying to move their gas meter or things like that, you need to get the approval from the customer. So you fill out the form, but then you also required to capture their signature. So you can just hand over the iPad, capture a signature on the fly, and save it. And again, this is an out-of-the-box feature from Power Apps that it's very easy to implement, but the benefit out of it that comes out of it is pretty huge. not having to carry a paper form and then coming back and scanning it, just saves paper. So yeah, pretty nice feature to have within the app. There are some dashboards available out of the box. So if you're familiar with Power Platform, you might have heard of Power BI. So Power BI is a very powerful tool to design interactive dashboards. But if you're sticking to Power Apps does have some basic charts and graph capabilities. So for simple statistics or dashboards, we tend to use Power Apps for those basic dashboards. And we thought that was pretty handy, and we've used the basic charts and graphs for many applications. And when it comes to a point when we need to have the user interact with the dashboard some more, we then kind of explore into Power BI. But for basic feature, basic chart, and basic dashboards, Power Apps does provide some basic capabilities. We've also have developed a few interactive chatbots using Power Virtual Agents. Some of these are used outside of the Dominion Energy network for the customers to interact with us. And some chatbots were also built internally for cybersecurity, for example, to ask a question, and it's very easy to use. We started also exploring with document scanning and extraction with AI. For example, you have an invoice that's in a certain format. You can train your AI to look for certain fields in certain location and capture the data and store it into a table, send some reports and approvals, things like that. So again, that is something that we've started using. And these are just some of the features that we've used that we wanted to highlight. And there's a lot more that we continue to, learn and grow and take advantage of. With that, I want to show a quick demo of the Power App that we built. I'll let Valerie speak to a little bit about what the app is.
Okay, so Sunita, we have to record our metrics and populate the information and get it all bundled up to send to the metrics committee. And a lot of times we here at Surrey, we send emails or we'll do a write-up or something to share with our direct metrics person here. And to make it more centralized, we needed your help in helping us put together an app where we can actually record the activities that we participating in and house it in a central location. So when our metrics person actually goes to populate it and turn it in, she is able to do it succinctly, easily, and it alleviates a lot of time that it takes. So with that, Sunita, I would like for you to start the demo on the app, please.
All right, thank you, Valerie. Yeah, so what we did in the Power Apps team is we took the Excel sheet that Valerie shared with us, and she showed us how this is how we currently, fill out the details in an Excel sheet. So we said, okay, how about maybe we can create an app, a mobile app, to make it easy for you. So this is the mobile app that I have to brag a little bit. So one of our teammates took this on herself, and she finished this app from start to finish in less than a day. So just shows how quickly you can develop apps. And this is a simple app, I understand, but it is pretty quick to design it, develop it, and send it to the user's phone. I just want to quickly walk through that process that Valerie just talked about. Click on the Add New button, and then you put in some details of the event. I'm going to say test event, so it's obvious I'm messing with the data. All right, so, and then I'm going to say, is this a one event, yes or no? This is, I feel like this is the sheet that you're familiar with filling out. Just makes it easy from an app. Defaults to current date, definitely can change it to a different date. And choose from which of these categories. If it's for professional development, click on that. And you can say just one person. And then here, when you say select members, I can type in for the name, and it should come up with the list of users. So I can search for any like if I can search for Valerie's name and fill it for her, for example, or I can default to the logged in user. Let's say I spent 4 hours and I didn't have any guests, or I can say I have 2 guests. Put in some comments if you want to, and then hit save. Very simple to use. And again, this can be used from a phone. I'm showing it from my desktop browser, kind of simulating a phone, but it would be very simple to use it from a phone. And let me quickly jump over to this list that I have here. Okay. So my test event that I just created showed up here and fills in these details. And now that this data is available in a SharePoint list, there's no need to send Excel sheets around or trying to get the latest Excel sheet into the right place and generate the dashboard, for example, generate some reports based for that. So it's all here, all entered into this thing. And Valerie shared some data with me this morning, so I kind of pre-filled in so you can see some of the data that I captured from the Excel sheet and entered it in here. But the idea is it's automatic. You don't have to worry about passing Excel sheets around. One quick thing I want to show about the app is the scan QR code. This is something that will only work from an actual mobile device. I'm trying to simulate a mobile device from a browser, so I cannot show that feature. But this is just a proof of concept to showcase what we can do. So this was Valerie's idea that we could potentially have QR codes placed in these events, for example, that can contain the details of the event. So when you scan the QR code, right now it's going to complain that, hey, this is a browser, I cannot bring up the camera. But if you're on a mobile phone right now, you would get that camera come up. And then what happens when you scan the QR code is it pre-fills all of this data because we know which location, what event name, things like that. So all of that would be pre-filled. And all you would do at that point is to add in these additional details and hit save. So it makes it real quick and easy so you don't forget, and it's easier to track this data. Anything else you want to add, Valerie?
And so, Sunita, just a quick question about the data for everyone's sake for this webinar. Where it's housed is on like a SharePoint site, right?
Right. Yeah, right now, I mean, I put it in a sandbox area, something for me to work with, but it is a SharePoint online site. So yeah, it is a SharePoint list.
And then that information, all the information that's on that SharePoint site can actually be exported to Excel, correct?
That's right. So it's easier to click on the export to CSV. It's very easy to generate the Excel sheets. Yep.
Okay, great. All right. So without further ado, we'll open it up for any questions, unless you have anything else to add, Sunita.
No, I'm good. I'm good to take questions now.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can go to the chat here. Okay, we have one question. Ronnie Gary has a question. Where can the app be acquired?
So Power Apps is a tool that's available as part of the Microsoft license. So if you go to portal.office.com, you would see all the apps all the tools that come with your Microsoft license. So if you're licensed, I think you need to have an E3 license with Microsoft. Just like you get your Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, you should have a Power Apps app available. So the way you would go to find out is see if you can go to make.powerapps.com.
Okay. What? And Sunita, for someone that's just getting started with this, this is a lot of information. Could you recommend some places to go? Where should we go to just get a little bit more information?
Yeah, there's a lot of learning resources available online. When somebody's starting out, I ask them personally to go to LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning has a lot of resources for Power Apps specifically. And if you're more of a, want to watch a video on how somebody's doing things, I really recommend watching Shane Young's videos. He's really good with giving you, beginner concepts for Power Apps. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. Are you able to get emails sent automatically when a new item is added?
Yes, that is a definite yes, and that's one of the most frequently used triggers for our Power Automate jobs. So let's say I added this item, which I just did. I can have a Power Automate kick off based on this event and send an email to Valerie saying, hey, somebody added an item. So that is one of our most frequently used kind of flows.
And Sunita, because I get so many emails per day, I've set up automates where I get a Teams message pushed to me whenever a certain person sends an email or wherever kind of bot that I set up, I get that Teams notification as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can send emails, you can send Teams notification, you can send push notifications. Yeah, there's just a lot they can do with Power Automate. It's very powerful.
Okay. Hey, I got a question. Have we used this to upload metrics to US Win yet? No, but this is just a prototype, and we're always striving to introduce new technology. So this is an introduction. I'm glad you like it because I will definitely be working with the metrics committee and also our fleet organization to make sure that we can do this across the board here at Dominion. We're all Dominion chapters. See if we have any other questions. Okay, so Sunita, I know you hooked me with building an app and getting me all riled up about Power Automate and the Power Platform. Is there any way you can demonstrate on how to build an app in 10 minutes for us? Please.
Sure can. Yes, I sure can. So, this is something that we do with any new people joining our team, for example, or even with citizen developers, is to create an app, and that's real quick and easy. So if you have the Power Apps license, you can go ahead and follow along. But yeah, I can go ahead and show you. So I go to make.powerapps.com, and then I click on apps, and then click on new app and say canvas app. So I like to always start with a blank canvas, but there are some existing templates that you can take advantage of. So I'm going to say demo for US Win. And so it asked me what kind of screen size my app needs to be in. So I can choose a tablet, like it looks like this. And I choose tablet if I'm trying to build an app specifically for a desktop browser or an iPad. I would choose the tablet mode. If I know that my app's going to be only used on a phone, for example, I choose the phone. But sometimes I need it in both places. I need it to work on my browser. I need to work on my phone. I just need the phone app to kind of adjust itself and be responsive based on the screen size. So for those scenarios, I still go ahead and use the tablet and program it accordingly so that when the screen size is small, it kind of wraps the controls around. For today's demo, I'm going to just go ahead and use the phone size. It's going to take a second. And as you can see, it's pretty, I just went to my browser. I don't have to download any additional tools to get started, right? So I can just put a hello world right here, and I would be done in less than 10 minutes, right? So I can just say insert. I can say insert text input. That's my text box, right? So if I play the app, so if there's a play button right here, there's my app. I could save this, publish it, and I can go to my phone and just launch the app. So that's very simple, but let me go ahead and put a first name, last name, and a button, for example. So I'm going to drop another text input, and then I'm going to add a button.
And can you show us how to do the barcode, the scanner? I think that was a big
Yeah, I sure can. All right, so let's do the barcode scanner. So I can search for the control right there. There it is. I'm gonna make it a different color so visually I can make sure I can easily spot it. It just gives us a friendly warning that, hey, this only is available from a mobile device. So if I were to run this app right now and I click on this, it's gonna give me a message saying, hey, you cannot use this on a desktop browser. But if I go to my phone and launch the app, it's gonna bring up the camera and allowing me to scan barcodes. All right, so here's the button, here's the barcode, and I'm gonna drop in a label. And this is where my barcode result's gonna be. So, all right, so this is, maybe I'll call it a save button. Again, the possibilities are endless, right? It's like, to me, creating a PowerPoint presentation, just layer your controls, and then you may sometimes have a button to click and then take you to a different screen. You can do that. So this is just all in one screen, but I can definitely add new screens on a click of a button, navigate between screens. But just for the demo, I'm going to just stick with one screen today. So let's go ahead and remove the default. I want blank text boxes, for example.
And Sunita, you can add like date and time and pictures. Could you do that to the?
Yes, there's just a lot of, so these are the controls that, again, I'm just putting a quick text box and a button to showcase how quickly, technically I could be done, right? I can just write few lines of code right here for the save button to save it to SharePoint list, for example, and I'm done. That's a very quick app. But yeah, you're right, Valerie. There's just a lot of controls that you can add. There's galleries, date time pickers, and this is the mixed reality I was talking about. It's very simple to implement. I can just say, hey, I want to measure in my app, drag and drop that control, and then it just works. And then once you measure, you may want to capture those values, save it to SharePoint side. So there's some coding involved at that point, but it's easy to implement those features themselves. So yeah, again, I don't want to overcomplicate it, but if you have any questions about a specific control, I can definitely bring them in.
Hey, there is a question. With most of us being in nuclear and at nuclear sites, we have certain cybersecurity concerns. How did we get this particular platform in nuclear? How easy is it to get access to the Microsoft platform, Power Platform?
Kind of paused on there for me, but I think I understand your question. So yeah, I definitely would look into the security. We here at Dominion Energy, we are not allowed to put all kinds of data on the cloud. So Power Platform is a cloud-based solution. So even if you have data residing on your premise, right? So if you have a SQL Server database on your premise, it's not on cloud, it's on-prem. But if you're trying to use Power Apps as the front end for it, trying to get the data from the on-premise data source and showing it in your Power App, it still may not be allowed. So I would definitely talk to your cybersecurity specialist and make sure that, is it okay if the data is on SQL, but the interface, the data is actually going to be presented in cloud? They may not be okay with it. At Dominion Energy, I can say that if it has sensitive, NERC, SIP data, we do not bring them over to Power Apps, not yet.
Okay, thank you for.
Mm-hmm.
Then also, Sunita, is there somewhere on Microsoft that kind of gives an overview of I know you said LinkedIn is one of them, but is there a Microsoft community or something where I can share ideas with people and get help with things if I get stuck?
There is a Power Platform community. I don't have the link on top of my head, but if you search for, like if you're stuck at some place, there's a lot of there's a lot of users of Power Platform. So you will definitely find somebody who has previously run into similar things. So,
Okay. And someone did share something in the chat. So yes, that's great.
all right.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for us? Okay. See if I see any other questions in the chat.
Valerie, there's 2 in the Q&A section.
Okay. Let's see, I'm looking in the wrong section here. Okay. Can you save and exit if you can't finish the app creation in one day?
Oh yeah, definitely. So here, let me go through this real quick here. So this is like creating a Word document, like in a OneDrive, for example. So I click on the save button, and once it's done saving, takes a second, and then I go ahead and click on this publish button. So you can put in some notes, and once I publish it, right? So what you can do is on your phone, you can go download the Power Apps app from your app store. I wish I could share my phone with you, but it is a purple icon. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a purple icon that says Power Apps. And once you click on it, it launches. It shows the list of apps that you've created, or if somebody else has created and shared with you. It shows up there, and you can simply tap on it and launch the app. Let me go up here real quick and show what I mean by that. Now that I've saved and published it, it should show up in the list of apps that I have access to. It's being a little slow, sorry about that. It takes a minute for it to refresh itself, so there's a lot of test tabs. Okay, there it is. So the demo for US Rent, that's the one I just created and modified a minute ago. So if I go ahead and play the app, you can see that it has the latest changes that we've put in, right? So it has the text boxes, the save button. Again, this is the barcode scanner won't work from your desktop browser, but if I launch the same app from my phone, the barcode reader just works, brings in the value. I obviously did not put any code in there to say what to do with those values, but there's more you can do to try to save it to SharePoint Online or any other data source.
Okay, I have another question. Thank you, Sunita, for that. Do the end users have to have a license for Power Apps in order to use the app when it's created with the application?
Yes, the end users do need a Power Apps a standard license. So there's different levels of license for Power Apps. There's a standard license and a premium license. So some connectors require premium license. For those, again, the end users will need premium license. But for basic thing, what I've shown today, for basic things like that, just a standard license would be. Yes, and the end users would need those standard license.
I've got a question. Can you generate a barcode in Power Apps or just read the barcode?
You can generate a barcode.
Okay. And then another one too, are there any other apps that you'd be willing / able to share with us that maybe have gone through a little bit more testing or that aren't proprietary or anything like that, just to showcase some of the more of the features and whatnot?
I haven't prepared for that, so I don't know if I can bring up an app. But if there's a specific feature that you're looking at, I can probably pull it up.
There wasn't anything in particular I had, no.
Okay,
like I said,
yeah.
I certainly don't want to, get you in trouble or anything like that with something that might have some, proprietary information in there, anything like that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm worried about. But otherwise, I would have been happy to showcase a lot of apps that we've built. Again, I was trying to bring the PowerPoint slide up, but there's a lot of features like responsive design, like how an app looks on a desktop browser and how it renders itself. The exact same app renders itself for mobile screen. There's just a lot of features that I wish I could show, but I wasn't prepared to share any applications.
Mm-hmm. For the applications that you have done and whatnot, how does it work? Does it just save on, like, so for the make.powerapps.com, does that associate with your like normal Dominion Microsoft account, or do you have to sign in separately? How does that work for you?
It is part of a Microsoft. So in our case, it's a Dominion Energy Microsoft tenant. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And
And then a lot of
sorry, I was just going to add that the same policies that your company might apply on your phone would also apply. So I will not be able to log into Power Apps on my personal phone, for example, if that's the policy that the IT has applied.
got it. What's been the obviously without any disclosing any proprietary information or anything like that, what's the most complex app that you've worked on so far?
Personally, the most complex was one of my earliest applications that I've developed. It is for the vaccine management system. It is, again, as you know, when vaccinations were becoming available, this was 2020 December timeframe. Dominion Energy was trying to acquire some vaccines and have some clinics available for people to, come in and get some vaccinations. So I had to implement a whole scheduling system into the application. Again, the timeline was, and we were getting requirements like on a hourly basis almost, it feels like, and we were watching the news sometimes trying to get, hey, what kind of vaccines are available? And some of these vaccinations needed 2 doses to call it complete. Some only needed 1. So our app had to kind of accommodate all those different kind of scenarios. That was challenging. The scheduling component itself, I would say, technically, programmatically speaking, was most challenging for me. Because Power Apps is a low-code solution platform, and to kind of implement a complex logic like scheduling was a little bit of a challenge. And the time frame that we had, we just needed it immediately. So overall, it was a success. So it was a very fulfilling project for me personally.
For a lot of the stuff you also mentioned too, for some like the training and help, did that require creation of like any sort of account, or was that just all open source kind of stuff?
No, it doesn't require any kind of account. It's mostly open source. Yep.
And Sunita, could you give the name of the person that you recommend looking at on LinkedIn?
Yeah, Shane Young.
Shane Young.
Yeah, I guess somebody suggested that I could share the foreign travel app. I guess I could do that. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, foreign travel app is something that, again, that was one of our earliest apps developed. But it is something, it's a form that, to quickly allow people to fill in if they're traveling internationally. Let me see if I can find the app real quick. All right, here's one of the apps that I can show, I guess. It's a simple app where I can click on if I'm traveling internationally and I want to report it. Go ahead and click on new and answer a few questions. Basically, when do I start? When does the travel start? When do I plan to come back? Reason for travel, the details of the destinations, and things like that, and hit on the submit button. So again, this is a very simple app. It's just one screen, as you can see. I think I click on next and then hit the submit button. But again, I don't want to get too much into the details, but that's a good example of, maybe how simple your apps can be. It doesn't have to be too complex. You could use Microsoft Forms, but sometimes you want to have some kind of a validation saying, if you answer this, then I want to show this, or a few other features that Microsoft Forms doesn't provide. You can use Power Apps for those things as well. And you can also build complex applications. So the range is just, there's a lot of, variety of applications that you can build.
And then another question I had, Sunita, was connecting it all with the Power Platform, the Power Automate, the Power BI.
Mm-hmm.
How does that all succinct? Because I thought I saw a Power Automate icon there somewhere.
Yeah. So if you can still see my screen, so there is these are all the I guess, tools that you have available that you can use to build your Power App. This right here is the database. So if I click on it, I can choose, this is where I would add SharePoint Online, SQL, custom connector, interfacing with your database, basically. This is a Power Automate icon that you're talking about, Valerie. This is where I can say, hey, when I click this button, I want you to send an email, for example, or when I click this button, I want you to let it go through an approval process for that task, for example. So I can say on this click of a button, create a new flow. Again, I'm not going to go through this process, but this is where you can define what can happen on a click of a button. So Power Automate is something that can run independently, but it can also be triggered from your click of a button from your Power Apps or when a SharePoint list item is added, for example. So
There is a question for me. What items is when using Power Tools for right now? Just logging metrics hours for members. Um, this platform is something new for me, and as I learn stuff, I like to share it with people, and then I start thinking about, okay, what can I do, or how can I succinct processes within some of the extracurricular activities that I'm involved in, but focusing more on the business processes. So I can say, and I'll just put it out there. We have a prototype for the metrics, and we're going to make sure that it goes into fruition. We're going to make this live for people. So I can just say the possibilities are endless now, because now that we have this webinar, and now that we're exposing more and more people to these platforms and its capabilities, hey, take the ball and run with it. So that's what we're going to do here at Surrey Power Station and our Dominion Energy fleet when programs. We're going to take the ball and run with it. So, Sunita, you haven't heard the last from me on this one.
yeah, or definitely not.
Okay. See if there are any more questions.
One question that came through is how many apps do y'all have that you use on frequent basis?
I wish I had a count, but it's, I would say a lot. So right now, our team has grown a lot recently, and right now at this point, I feel like we are churning out 4 to 5 apps a month. How many Power Apps are in production? I don't have a good number to tell you, but I would say it'll be close to 50, if not more. Some are enterprise-wide. A few of them are enterprise-wide, like the vaccine management system I talked about earlier, back when we used it. But there are some applications that are specific for business, like for Valerie's team, for example. A small group of users need something, so that's a separate app. So yeah, we just have a lot of different groups that use. Some are in the tens, some are hundreds, some are enterprise-wide. So I don't want to give a number and be wrong, but I would say, but the good number that I want to tell you is we're churning out apps like 4 to 5 a month, roughly.
Because of that number, has there been any pushback from folks on potential app overload?
I've heard of that. So, we definitely look for areas where we can reuse or kind of expand an existing app. For example, we have an area of power generation, and there is a requirement that just helps with their day-to-day processes. Automation, for example, or just have an app to help on the field. We definitely try to look for ways to kind of enhance an existing app or combine apps if possible, or just kind of make the same thing available for a different group, kind of clone that for a different group instead of trying to create something from scratch. We are looking for that, but we definitely don't want to overload a person from on a day-to-day basis. The number of apps we've developed kind of touch different people, different areas. Our enterprise level apps are not too many, I wouldn't say. And even for those enterprise apps, we are trying to consolidate into a single, Dominion user kind of a profile, so they're all consolidated in one place. So there are ways to simplify it, but we've definitely heard of that and conscious of that app overload. Oh, Valerie, you're on mute.
We have a few more questions coming through, Sunita. With Power Apps, what is the ability to link into existing programs, apps being used with the company already? Do they kind of like interchange with one another?
To link to existing programs, if you're talking about link to existing systems like SAP, right? So we have SAP that we kind of want. Some of our applications do have a requirement to interface with SAP for inventory, for example. And I talked a little bit about connectors and how many connectors Power Apps it allows us to use. SAP is one of them. So there are definitely ways to integrate or interface with existing systems.
Okay. Another one is, what examples do you have using Power Apps within a Microsoft Teams? Would that be useful for productivity?
Yeah, so there are many applications that we have developed for within our team to manage our projects, for example. So we are building our own app to manage all the apps. So that one would count as personal productivity, right? Or team productivity. So you could use it for simple things like tracking your team's responsibilities or tasks. It doesn't have to be a complex problem that you're solving with Power Apps, right? So it could be something that helps you in a day-to-day. Or we could use Power Automate or robotic process automations with Power Automate Desktop, for example, for some of the mundane things that you have to do, but you have to get them done. If they're repeatable tasks, you can program a bot to kind of do something every day. You log into the computer, you click, and do a few things that you have to do, run a job, for example. Just mundane things that you have to do every day, you can automate that to a bot, for example. So yeah, there are some things that doesn't have to be complex, just helping out your team or your personal productivity on a day-to-day basis. You can definitely take advantage of Power Platform for those things as well.
So, Sunita, there's a question about costs. Do you know how much it costs to get a license for either Power Apps or the Power Platform?
No, not really. I don't have an answer for Power Apps, the standard license, but if you want to go to the next level and get some premium license to connect to some of the data sources like SAP, if you want to connect Power Apps to SAP, it is a premium license. So
Okay.
for that, I think there's a $40 per month per user, and that gives you premium license to all apps, just period. But there's a lower price, I think $10 per month if it is just for an app, for an user. But I'm not. Don't quote me on that, and those things
Yes.
could change. But
Okay.
but for us at Dominion Energy, Power Apps, the standard license comes with our Microsoft E3 license. So for standard purposes, we don't have to worry about licensing.
Thank you. One question is, can you show us an example of the code needed to program a save button?
Yeah, yes, I can definitely do that. So let me go ahead and click on the, since I'm still sharing my screen, let me add a quick data source. So I'm going to save it to a SharePoint site. All right, let's see if I can. Give me 1 second in here. Let me find the.
We have, that's a managed service, right? They say like every month. So this is Vice is a managed service, right? We said
Trying to find that SharePoint list.
maximum can go anytime when it says they need to do more work.
All right. I have a sample site that I can use. I'm gonna go connect to that SharePoint site. I'm gonna choose a sample list. Again, this could be the SharePoint site and list that you need to save to, right? I'm just picking a random list here. But let's say when I click on the save button, I want to write to this test data site location. So I have the barcode value right here, latitude, longitude, I can do that. And then I can put a title in here. So let's do that save button real quick. So I'm clicking on this button, and that's what, so if you look at this tree view here, these are all the controls on my screen. So if I have a barcode reader here, there's one, that's what it shows there. So what I'm going to do is click on this button, and I can rename this to make more sense. Instead of button 1, I can say this is my save button, right? So I have that, and I'm sorry if I might be going a little fast here, but forget the ideation. Sorry, got the name wrong. So this is the command that I use to save. So I'm trying to patch is a command I use, and I'm trying to say save to this SharePoint list. This is the name of my SharePoint list that I just added to my app, and I'm gonna say defaults. This means that it is a new record. I'm not updating an existing item, I'm adding a new item. That's what this right here means. I know it's not obvious, but once you get used to it, it'll be pretty easy. And the actual data here. So I'm going to say the title is going to be text input 1 dot text. I'm going to put a space between the two, and I'm going to say text input 2 dot text. That's simple enough. And then I'm going to say latitude, say location dot latitude. And that's, you can see that that's all the code I need to say what's the latitude of the location that I'm in. And then I can say longitude is location dot longitude. And I can say the barcode value. So barcode value is my barcode reader. Reader 1 dot barcodes. The barcode reader actually returns a series of barcodes. So you don't have to stop at one. So it allows you to keep scanning. So you can potentially scan multiple barcodes. But I'm going to just grab the first one here. I'm going to grab the value, and that's it. So if you see here, these are all the SharePoint list columns. So title, latitude, longitude, barcode, these are all the column names. So nothing, I'm not doing anything fancy, just trying to make sure the names are correct. If it's not correct, it would complain. I can show that real quick. So if I misspelled any of this, it would say, hey, something's wrong. I can't save this because I taped the column name wrong. Now it's happy. So that's all it requires. So I'm going to go ahead and click. So let's say I want this to put on my name, and I hit the save button. It did it. So let me refresh. So there's my record. It put my name, and it put a sample barcode. And this is the latitude and longitude. And it just says that I did this a few seconds ago. Does that help? And it took a sample barcode because the barcode value is not there for my browser. Does that help?
Yes, that was a lot. I forget what all those commas and stuff are for. Is it just to separate the code?
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of like to format it so that it's easy to read. The indentations help. I can add some comments in here, for example, saying, these are my values, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, you can add comments in it.
All right. One question, I'm definitely reading this one. What is the difference between Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent, Power BI, and Power Apps? And which are the best to start with if you are technology challenged?
I would say they're all meant for different purposes, right? So Power Apps is obviously what we're looking at right now. This is to build an app, and once you build it and save and publish, they're gonna show up in your phone as apps that you can use. So that's the purpose of Power Apps. Power Automate is to do any of those approvals or whatnots, and Power BI is for dashboarding. Power Virtual Agents is to create that chatbot kind of an interface. So they all have different purposes. So it depends on what you really want to do. But if you really don't care, and if you just want to start something just to see, I would say Power Automate maybe is a easy thing to get started on. So to go to Power Automate, you just go to make.powerautomate.com. Again, it's maybe I can quickly walk through creating a simple flow, and there are some templates that you can, so I would highly recommend starting from a template. When I first started with Power Apps, I started with a template because I'm familiar with programming, but this is a different kind of programming. So I wasn't familiar with how this platform worked. So if I come in here and say create in Power Apps, you can see there's a lot of templates. Just to choose one template, it creates the app for you. Click around just to get yourself familiarized with, and that's a great way
Hey,
to
Sunita, can you
get
just
started.
could you click on one of those to just kind of show us like voila, this is what it looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, yes, so sure. So this is, for example, recently we started looking for room booking, right? I want to reserve a room, book a room. So we were just exploring and we said, hey, so there's already a template called book a room. So I'm going to just say, let's see, create. And this is a fully functioning app that works, like I can search for rooms and reserve a room through this app. And it works for Dominion Energy rooms, conference rooms. So it's a great example of how you can just, use one of the existing templates and create an app out of it. You can customize it. So here's the app. I mean, that's available as a template, and I just brought it in, and then I click on the play button. These are the options that it gives me. It says, okay, book without a. I have all these options. I'm gonna search for South Carolina. And it shows me all the available rooms. And this is really tied to our tenant. So if you're in a different company, you have your own tenant, you just spin up this app, it's going to show it. You already have an app to book a conference room. So yeah. And I can say
Is,
yeah.
is it a matter of just connecting all the data links from the template to make it your own? Is that the concept of it?
Yeah, so we are actually doing that. So we took this as an idea template, and then we're making it our own, right? So you can do simple things like I want to change the theme of this. You can change the theme to make it look a little different. You can add a few more buttons, a few more options on your home screen. Yeah, you can definitely customize it. One thing I would definitely do is if you're new to Power Apps, and if you say I want to build an app that's very close to this but not exactly this, you may want to start with that template as a starting point, and then you can completely deviate from it. That's totally fine, but at least it gives you a starting point.
Got another question, Sunita. How does the app show up on your phone? I think you kind of said there's an icon, but do you need to provide your phone number or email somewhere?
It's all linked by your email address. So what you need to do is, what I can do is go to my app store, Apple App Store, and it works on an iOS or Android, right? So you don't have to have an iPhone. Even on your Android device, just go to a place where you download your apps, download the Power Apps. And I don't know if I can show you, but that's how it looks. But that's my Power App icon that shows up on my phone, something I can download from the App Store. Once I tap on it, it asks you to log in. So I just log in with my Dominion Energy email address. That's what ties the apps that I've created with the apps that I see on the phone.
Great. Thank you, Sunita. Are there any other questions? Okay, Price, I'll turn it back over to you.
Excellent. Let me get back on camera here and all that good stuff. So I want to thank you, Valerie and Sunita, for the insightful information on everything today, and Valerie, for you for facilitating the program. Sunita, thank you for showing us what you could on the applications. I know there's probably a lot of goodies in there that we would love to see, but just, I know the proprietary nature of things, we're just unable to see those. Thank you to Caitlin and Gia at NEI for working in the background to make sure everything went off from an AV standpoint and hosting this on Zoom and whatnot. Caitlin's also senior staff counsel for NEI and member of steering committee. So thank you again for helping us with that. Thanks everyone for attending today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to join in our conversation as part of PD Week. There is one more webinar, and it will be hosted the same time tomorrow, starting at 1300 Eastern. And the title of that will be, we'll be learning about leveraging the Microsoft Power Platform through Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate to streamline processes and automate workflows with some real-time examples as well. So please, if you are not registered for that, there is still time to register. You can reach that on the US Win website. And reminder, there's also the on-demand event about artificial intelligence and other resources that are always available 24/7, 365 on the US Win website. Reminder, if you attended today as a group, please let us know in the chat or email us at the WinPD Gmail. Also, don't forget to include this on your metrics, for whether it's for the regular metrics or for the professional development week metrics, if you do intend to submit for the PD Week Award. As a reminder, those will be due on 9/30. Let's see. And then finally, feedback is a gift. So you will be getting a survey today. It should automatically pop up. If not, give it a second to pop up once this webinar is ended today. Helps us with lessons learned, what you liked, what you didn't like, and things like that. If it doesn't, please check your email in the future. And then I'll also put this out for a call to action too, well, a little bit of outside PD Week, but if there's any other topics in general you would like to see us focus on, whether it's technical or maybe some more soft skills or anything like that, please email that to the Win Gmail, and we will look at that and maybe reach out to you in the future if we determine as a committee that that's a really worthwhile topic. So thank you all again and have a fantastic week. Take care.